So today we will cover some aromatic compounds. We'll do a technical overview. Then I wanted to focus on three main aromas, such as the thiols, the terpenes, and the rhizoprenoids. We'll see why they are connected. And then some of the tertiary aromas. And then we'll, as a third part, we'll see how to preserve and protect these aromas over the time until the consumer is consuming the wine. And then we will end up with some questions. So please feel free to write your questions in the chat or in the Q&A area. And I will take some time toward the end of the presentation to answer them. So I'm gonna stop. So wine is a very complex matrix. It contains over 1,000 volatile compounds, and these volatile compounds can react with each other to create even more mouthfeel and different aromas. There are three main families of aromas. First, we have the primary aromas, so the volatile compounds that are present in the grapes that we can already smell. So among them, we have the terpenes. We'll talk about them later. Terpenes usually have floral aromas like rose, lavender, orange blossom, lychee, but also spicy aromas and fruity aromas. Then we have the IBMP, which is the methoxypyrazines, or also called pyrazines. These aromas are found more in Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon, or Cabernet Franc. They smell usually like green bell pepper, grassy aromas, tomato leaf, or asparagus. Usually these are aromas that are formed early in the ripening of the grapes, and then they decrease. So when you harvest a little bit earlier, you will find more of these aromas in your grapes, in your Sauvignon, for example. And then we have the hexanol. They are C6 alcohols. They are associated with unripe or herbaceous characteristics, such as also green apple, herbal, or grassy notes. Then we have the secondary aromas. So secondary aromas are aromas under the form of precursors. They're already in the grapes, but that are released during the fermentation or during aging. This is the case for thiols. Thiols are found usually more in the Sauvignon Blanc, but we'll see that they are also in a lot of different grape varieties and also red varieties. They can smell like passion fruit, citrus, grapefruit, guava, depending on which thiol we're talking about. Then the terpenes, so they can also be released during the fermentation. So basically the aromas are bound to a sugar, and as an enzymatic reaction will release the aromas from the sugar and make the terpenes or the aromas volatile, so odorant. And then, so we have the rhizoprenoids. They can smell, they are derivated from carotenoids and enhanced during the fermentation or aging. And they are characterized as like honey, tea, or dried apricot aromas. There are a lot of different molecules in the wines. And then we have the esters. They are formed during the fermentation. They are responsible for fruity aromas in young wine, like ethyl esters like pineapple, banana, strawberry, or apple, or acetate esters that are characterized by pear or bubblegum or tropical fruit aromas. And then finally, these are aromas that are formed during aging. It can come from oak. So it results from barrel aging or oak alternative aromas. So we can find some aromas like vanilla, coconut, smoky aromas, chocolate, or cedar. There is a huge range of different oak aromas we can find in the wine, aging in barrel, for example. We also can get tertiary aromas from aging on lees, if you do extended lees contact or stirring the lees, batonnage. This can create some aromas like brioche aromas, nutty, creamy aromas, and then extended aging or oxidation can lead to aromas like hazelnut, walnut, dried fruit, or even tobacco or forest floor. So that's the three main families of aromas we can find in the wine. So today I wanted to focus on sciols first. So sciols are usually found in white grape varieties such as Sauvignon Blanc, Vermentino, Colombard, but also in Chardonnay and in a lot of different white grape variety. It really depends the ripeness, the terroir, and where the clone also, and where it's grown. There are some studies that shows that there are a lot of sciols also found in in red grape varieties such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Grenache, Syrah, Merlot, Pinot Noir, etc. So there are some studies from the AWRI, especially from Australia, that shows that added the wines with more sciols were perceived as fruitier, fresher, so with more red fruit aromas, which is very interesting in nowadays winemaking. So there are three main sciols in the wine. So first is the 4-MMP. It has a very low threshold. It is characterized by boxwood aromas, more greener characters. Then we have the 3-MH. So this sciol has a higher threshold level. That means that it's less easy to smell it. It's characterized by citrus aromas, grapefruit, and tropical fruits, which are key in some whites and rosé for the consumers. And then the 3-MH can convert into acetate 3-MH, so the A3-MH that has a lower threshold level, so it is way more intense, and this one has more tropical fruit aromas like passion fruit or pineapple, for example. So let's delve a little bit more into the reactions. So how does the sialic compounds are becoming volatile? So sialic compounds are found usually in the skin of grapes, mainly, and they are non-volatile, so non-odorant. So as you see here on the left, we have the 3-MH attached to a cysteine or to a glutathione. Same with the 4-MMP. So this is when they are present in the grapes. This is the precursor form. So to release these aromas, there is an enzymatic activity done by the yeast that is called carbon sulfur liase that will cut the connection between the cysteine and the 3-MH, or the compounds attached to the sciols, to release volatile sciols, so the 3-MH and the 4-MMP. And then the yeast can convert the 3-MH into an acetate 3-MH. So this is what's happening during the fermentation, or thanks to some specific enzymes. Something important to know is that usually even if you select the best sialic yeast with the best nutrition, the yeast will never convert all the precursors during the fermentation. So it can, for example, maximum convert up to 60% of the precursors. So you will still have a lot of precursors remaining in your wine that are non-odorant. Okay, so there is a full webinar done by my colleague Eglantine. I really invite you to watch it if you want to learn more about sales. So I'm going to say a few information on how to boost sales production from the grapes to the fermentation. But yeah, I really invite you to watch this webinar, which is an hour focused on sales. So how to increase sales precursors. So there is a big part at the vineyard. So in terms of vineyard practices, studies showed that moderate hydric stress, nitrogen fertilization, or foliar nitrogen spray will increase the amount of sales production, but also harvest time is very important. Sun exposure and heat wave have a negative impact on sialics accumulation, but also the picking decision is very important. If you want more tropical aromas, you have to choose a time that is not too early, but also not too late. That's the magic of the harvest decision. Also, so when you accumulate all the sales precursors, it's very important to extract them. So doing skin contact, maceration or stabilization can help to extract the skin compounds into the juice. You can also use extraction enzymes, so specific enzymes to extract the sales better. Using enzyme is very interesting because you select only what you need. Then during the fermentation, this is when you can express sales. So usually a higher fermentation temperature and a higher turbidity will help the release of more sales, your wine to be more sialic. And using specific yeasts and nutrients also will promote more transformation from 3MH to A3MH and more sialic compounds creation. Then you can also express more sales during the aging. This is what we're going to see. So getting the remaining precursors into volatile sales using an enzyme can be very beneficial. And then after expressing the sales, because sales are way more sensitive to oxidation than the precursors, it is very important to protect these aromas. So first on juice, doing a fining will help to remove anything that can oxidize the aromas. So doing a good clarification will help. And also using glutathione, so antioxidant after the fermentation is also a very good tool to keep your wine fresher for a longer time. So let's say, for example, you have a wine that is not very expressive. You would like to get a little bit more complexity and you were expecting more aromas. There is a possibility to use an enzyme that will do exactly the same reaction as the yeast during the fermentation. It will release more sales, but also more aromas during the aging or just before bottling. So on this trial, this was the enzyme called enosyl sales, which is a pectinase with beta-liase and beta-glycosidase activities. So you can see that compared to the control that were, so it's a study. It was from a tank during the aging. So we can see that there is 25% more thiols in the wine treated with the enzyme thiols compared to the control. So basically, your wine will have 25% more tropical citrus aromas style. So why to use the enzyme thiols? So first, to just boost more tropical and fruity notes, but just an overall complexity. So for white wines and rosé, more fruity characters, tropical notes, and for red wines, usually it gives more intensity in the red fruits and a little bit more freshness. So using it during aging or just before bottling is actually a good strategy to not risking to lose too many aromas. So you just add this enzyme, wait for 3 weeks usually to have all the precursors released, so you can have better aromatic complexity. Usually the dose is between 4 and 6 milliliters per hectoliters. That's a liquid enzyme, and you don't need to stop it with bentonite. So here are other trials. Those 3 trials were analysis from the stainless steel tank. So we added 5 milliliters per hectoliters. We waited 3 weeks, and then we tasted the wines. So we can see that the wine treated with the enzyme thiols compared to the control were higher in terms of citrus and tropical character, more fresh, which lead to an overall quality superior, a better quality and aromatic intensity. For a rosé wine, that was a Grenache. Also, it enhances the tropical fruits, the red berries, and the aromatic intensity. So we always see that it is more complex and perceived as more qualitative compared to control. And then on red wines, we can see that it will decrease the perception of riper fruits, but will increase the fresh fruit and the cleanliness sensation. So that can be a good option if you have an overripe red, for example, with overripe aromas that is perceived a little bit hot. Using this can boost the freshness and some aromas. So that's it for the enzyme thiols. Then two other families of compounds I wanted to talk about today are the terpenes and the C13 norisoprenoids. That's not easy to pronounce it. So there are over 30,000 known terpenes in the plant kingdom. They give each plant its unique scent, color, or aromas. So to give you an example, terpenes are what gives lemon their citrus scent, and also nutmeg. Its characteristic, it's also the warm and spicy flavor from the terpenes. So both terpenes and norisoprenoids work the same way. They are found as free aromas in the grape, but also as bound aromas. So they are glycosylated, so that means that they are bound with a sugar. So they are in the form of precursors, non-volatile, and they can be released during the fermentation or aging. So we can find terpenes in Riesling, Muscat, Gewürztraminer. That's gonna be the rose, geranium, lemongrass aromas, the floral aromas we can find in these white grape varieties. But we also, the Syrah is very well known for its rotandone, which is an oryzoprenoid. So the smell of black pepper, violet, or rose from Syrah comes from here. But we also have these aromas in Grenache Corvina, which is used for Valpolicella wines, and Cabernet Sauvignon. In Cabernet Sauvignon, it contains terpenes contributing to herbal or eucalyptus-like aromas. So I'm not going to name all the different terpenes, but they are a lot, like the linalool, which is smelling like orange blossom, citrus, geraniol, like rose and geranium, etc. So how to boost these aromas in the grapes and then in the wine? So environmental factors will have an impact on the accumulation on these aromas. So higher terpenes levels are associated with greater sunlight exposure, but cooler climate too. So lower temperature will also preserve the volatile terpenes. The ripening stage is also very important. They accumulate during grape maturation with a peak often during closer to harvest. Then winemaking decision will also impact on the accumulation of these aromas. So to create more of these aromas, lower temperature will help to preserve them. And also using a specific yeast strain will help to release more of the volatile terpenes. And of course, like I said, so yeast, enzymatic reaction from yeast will release the glycosidates, so the sugar from the molecule. So it will release more aromas, but you can also use an enzyme that is doing the same activity to actually release more of these aromas during fermentation or during aging. So the enzyme Lamatabie have is the enzyme FW. So it's a pectolytic enzyme with glycosidase activity to especially release more terpenes and the oryzoprenoids compounds. So it will increase aromas on white, rosé, and reds, enhancing the fruity and floral profile. So it really can work very well on rosé and whites, but also red. It does help the clarification and the filterability, especially if you're using before bottling. And if you want to stop the activity, if you're happy with the smell or the aroma's complexity, then you can stop the activity by using bentonite. So using it pre-bottling will help you to not lose too much aromas, to protect, to make sure they are not going to be oxidized. The dose, so it's a powder. The dose is 3 to 6 grams per hectoliters on dry wines and 6 grams per hectoliters on sweet wines. So this kind of solution can help to accelerate the readiness of your wine before bottling. We also have some customer using these kind of enzymes to if they don't have time between the end of the fermentation and the bottling, so they need to bottle very quickly. So using an enzyme like this will help to have a cleaner mouthfeel, a cleaner perception of aromas and more aromas. So last but not least, I wanted to say a few words on tertiary aromas, because this is something you can also do just before bottling. Using oak tannins can really impact your wine aromas. For example, if you don't have time to use barrel, if you don't have time for barrel aging or using oak alternative, using oak tannin will help to fine-tune your wine last minute, because this is something you can even add 1 day before the bottling. So according to the toast of oak, you will have different flavors and mouthfeel. So untoasted oak, here I'm talking about French oak. We have a range called Tannin Sense, which are only French oak tannins. So using an untoasted tannin won't add too many aromas, but will lift the fresh fruit, so more red fruit sensation. And it's also an excellent way to buffer your redox potential, meaning that it will be protecting against oxidation, but also solving some reduction issues. Then lighter toast, like the Tannin Sense origin, will add more vanillin or whiskey lactone profile. So adding more vanilla, caramel, and coconut aromas, with impacting the mouthfeel, adding more volume and creaminess. Same with medium toasted oak tannins, like the Tannin Sense expression. It's a little bit more toasted, so more cocoa and toasted almond profile. This will impact a little bit more the structure and the volume. And higher toasts are actually very beneficial to increase the freshness to overripe fruit. So if you have, again, a wine that is a little bit flabby, or have not too many aromas, or just dried fruit aromas, that can help to bring some more freshness and more dark or red fruits profile. So please, if you're interested, ask for our finishing product samples, because it's very important to do benchtop trials before bottling. If you feel like your wine needs to be fine-tuned, or it's missing something, using trials, using samples like this is very easy. So you can send me an email or contact your sales rep for having this kind of product samples, because this contains some oak tannins, grape tannins, which are very interesting to enhance the red fruit potential, and also polysaccharides. And they are also great for stability. So, and then last but not least, so when you have all the components extracted, when your aromas are there, you have everything ready. The challenge is to preserve these wine aromas during aging and until the wine is consumed. So using glutathione. So glutathione is a very intense and very efficient antioxidant. It's a natural antioxidant we can find in the wine, but usually toward the fermentation and during the fermentation, you're losing a lot of glutathione. So this is why we developed Aromaprotect. Aromaprotect is a yeast derivative rich in sulfur peptides, and it has more than 50% of glutathione. That means that it's one of the most reactive product on the market. It will be a natural antioxidant. So it will increase the natural antioxidant resistance of your wine, meaning that you can add less SO2 during the aging, and it will preserve your aromas in your tanks or in your bottles. So using this will also help you to have a lower total SO2. So you can use it at the end of the fermentation. So usually I suggest using from 10 to 30 grams per hectoliters, and during the fermentation, during the aging too. And you can also prevent oxidation and protect your wines during any transfer. So for example, if you're doing a racking or just before filtration or any movement, you can add 5 grams per hectoliters. For example, it's very useful for sparkling if you have dispatched bottling. If you are programming different bottling time with the same wine and you want to keep the wine as fresh as the first bottling, so without increasing the SO2 addition. So you will be able to keep the same wine over 6 months, for example, if you're planning to have several bottling for rosé, white, or any wines. So let me show you 2 trials. So first trial was the analysis of aromas of A3MH and 3MH with a control, so none treated with Aroma Protect and one treated with Aroma Protect. So we see that 3 months after, this has been aged in a stainless steel tank, we can see that the control is losing the total amount of A3MH and 76% of the 3MH. So there is a huge decrease of aromas. And compared to the wine treated with the Aroma Protect, it almost kept all the aromas. So this is very important to take into consideration. And then second trial was after 6 months. So one, it's a different trial. So one wine, the control versus the wine treated with Aroma Protect. And then 6 months after, in tank, we analyzed the 4 MMP, 3MH, and A3MH, so all the different sials. And we can see that the control is losing from 55% to 75% of its sials over the time. Compared to the wine treated with Aroma Protect, it's lost only 20 to 30% of sials. So this is very interesting to see how it can control the wine's aromatic and preserve them. So to sum up, as we saw, so there are solutions to enhance the wine complexity and the wine your aromas of wine during aging or just before bottling. So if you want to boost tropical and citrus notes on your white and rosé, or the freshness and red fruit characters in your red, using enzyme sial can be a good option. Then for more floral and spicy notes and terpenic varieties, the enzyme FW can be also an option. And also let us know if you need samples of our tannins because they can be just used last moment to fine-tune your wine and to preserve your wine aromas, freshness, and just to prevent any oxidation in your wine. The Aroma Protect, which is rich in glutathione, which is a natural product, can be very beneficial for any transfer or just during the aging. So thank you very much.